Hello everybody, I have an update on last week's video. I did some more work on the board and I'm going to show you that later on in this video. But first I wanted to take the opportunity to go through a number of your comments, seeing as how you're all kind enough to post underneath last week's video. Now before I go through these, I think there's some missing. I'm not sure why, but these are the only ones that I can see at the moment. As you can see, I have it's set to show all unresponded, responded and new replies. But I do think that there is a number missing. I'm just going to go through what it's shown me here. So from the top in reverse chronological order, I really like your diagnosing steps watching from Turkey. Well, thank you very much for watching from Turkey. I will have another video next weekend and I hope you enjoy. Brilliant lesson. Thank you very much. Pin charger ID. I was curious about this comment, Mattia. Pin charger ID, are you suggesting that that could be responsible for the power on but no display situation? Because as far as I'm aware, if I even just snap off the PSID pin, the only thing it should affect is charging. If I'm wrong on that, please post down in the comments below, but that's what I'm aware of, because from time to time we do have people with laptops that break off the middle pin, and when they do that, the laptop won't charge the battery but it will power on. Next comment. Hello, nice video as always. You try and scan using thermal camera. They should show uniform heat spread. If there were heat spots, it is a no fix. Yes, very coincidentally, I was watching a video from the electronic repair school. I think it's one of his legacy ones, but I was watching it last week before I produced my own video. And in that video, he took out his thermal camera, put it over the heatsink, and I could see exactly what you're talking about. He was expecting there to be uniform heat right across the chipset, but one corner of the chipset was heating up and he diagnosed it as a fail. So that is certainly good advice. I need a better thermal camera to be able to look for any sort of granular detail. I think my thermal camera could maybe spot a burglar breaking into the house, but wouldn't give me any more detail other than that. But then I did just pay €80 for it. Ian is back with a comment. Thank you for posting, Ian. Someone already reported the BIOS you used is not working, so I wouldn't put much faith in it. I saw that underneath it, Ian, but then I saw two other comments underneath it saying thank you, it's working. But one thing that's difficult when you're taking down these BIOS ROMs from the forums, like I certainly appreciate people uploading them and stuff like that, but you're really relying on the feedback from other people to tell you yes or no. And what I thought was maybe that the first person that said it wasn't working possibly had another fault on their motherboard, and maybe the two people who said it was successful, they actually had a BIOS issue and it resolved their issue. But there is certainly an issue with trying to find credible working BIOS files. But check out later on in the video, Ian, I have an update on that. A very clever approach. Thank you for your job. Well, thank you for watching, Pascal. There's no external memory option, so if there is a memory issue, then it's a big problem. It certainly is, because now it's all soldered onto the board, and even with new Lenovo's that we buy, in my real job, all soldered onto the board, and you have to tell them up front, do you want 32 or 64, because there's no upgrade option. It's very restrictive. It's like the way processors are now. I think it was before the 4th generation, you used to be able to plug out the processor, try another one to test to see where the fault is. We can't do that anymore. Can't do it with the chipset, and now we can't do it with the memory, so it is restrictive. I forgot to suggest do a nice replay of the RAM chip. Another vote for a possible issue with the RAM. Thank you for your suggestion. Okay, thank you for your new upload, mate. I'm sorry to hear of your loss though. Yes, thank you very much. May I ask where you get your schematics from? All schematics from badcaps.net. And Pascal knows all my answers at this stage, so it is pretty much every single schematic I've got for the videos I've used is from Badcaps. I think I purchased one from another site, but that's about it. Thank you for sharing. I like your detailed videos. Yeah, they take a good bit of time, but I'm actually getting a lot quicker at them. My joke is usually that I'm actually getting better at Photoshop than I am at fixing electronic laptop motherboards, but hopefully we've made some progress this week. It seems like the onboard memory is causing no display. Yeah, that's another vote for the memory. We're all thinking along the same lines here, guys. I find what's very useful about the comments is it sort of gives me all of the suggestions, and I'm able to match up what my thinking is against yours, and in that way I learn from you guys, and the way that hopefully you guys are picking up something from my videos also. Great video, it's gratifying. Where can I find the schematics? Pedro, you find them on badcaps.net. Set yourself up with a free account there. Brilliant resource. The guys on there geniuses as well. If you ever need to ask a question, people are very, very helpful. It could be onboard RAM that's faulty. Another vote for the RAM. Press down on the RAM, see if anything shows up in the display. If it does, try a reflow. Reballing would be the best solution. And that was my question for you guys. With a reflow, with just my hot air station, how long would you expect the RAM to stay working? So great, if it was an issue with the RAM and I reflow it just with my hot air station, is that a permanent solution? Do you remember years ago the BBC did a program where they got everybody to bring down their PlayStations that had the yellow ring of death? They put them into an oven and got every single one of them working. However, I think half of them came back within the next week. So if I use my heat gun to fix the RAM issue, you know, not talking specifically about this one, speaking more generally, but if I manage to get a laptop working after reflowing the solder underneath the RAM ICs, is that a permanent solution? Or, like you're saying here, does it need to be reballed properly before giving back to a customer? That's my question. Thank you for taking the time to write such a detailed comment here. Check with thermal camera, reflash the BIOS a few more times and see if the current draw is different. Maybe you need a clean ME region as well, so try multiple different BIOS files. Yeah, that's all along the line of what everybody else is thinking and what I'm thinking as well. The one thing I haven't done the sort of shotgun approach to the BIOS ROMs. I've generally tried to pick out the one or two that have got the sort of, you know, most upvotes or best feedback, but maybe the approach I should be taking is just take every single one of the BIOS files, download them all, flash the BIOS with every single BIOS file that's available and try them all. And I think that's maybe what I should do in the future. So that's all of the comments I have on show here for the moment, guys. Like I said, if your comment doesn't show up or I haven't covered it here, I apologize. I will try and make sure in the future, if I do another one of these, that I make sure that I'm seeing all of the comments, because I'm pretty sure I'm missing some. However, let me show you the further work I did on this motherboard. So after I finished up last week, I had tried 2 different BIOSes at that stage, but I decided to go ahead and try a few more, as it was suggested in the comments last week. Just try as many as you can get. Now, I was able to find the Dell original executable files on the actual Dell support website, but when I used the extraction tool to extract these, there was one problem. You can see that one there, which is the A08, and it's for this actual model, but it's only a 4 meg file, whereas if I look back and I look at the original BIOS, that's actually an 8 meg file. So I'm not sure exactly what was going on there, but every time I tried to load one of the original ones that I extracted, it wouldn't work because it was too small. So I searched again and I found a couple more on badcaps.net, but I also found this one right here. Dell XPS DAD13CMBAG0 REV3. That's the exact same markings that's on my board, and that's the exact same markings that's on my IC. Where did I get that exact BIOS file? Well, I found that one on this website right here, chinafix.tech. So here you can see Dell XPS 13 DAD 13CM BAG0 revision 3. As I said, this is exactly what's written on my board. You know, whereas a lot of the other ones are, you know, they don't have the exact name of the motherboard. They're more generic Dell XPS 13. At least I know that this one is for the exact board that I have in front of me. So I thought I was going to have to pay for this, but I was actually able to download it for free. So I just clicked to download. I downloaded it and I loaded it up onto my BIOS IC using my CH341A and AS programmer. So after reprogramming my BIOS, I connected it to the power again and trigger the power switch on like so. And this time you can see we're drawing 408 milliamps. And this time I've connected it up to my external screen again, and you will see we now have blue light and it's coming on. So maybe that's the lesson for this week. Don't just cherry pick the 2 or 3 BIOS ROMs that have the best feedback, as I have been doing in the past. Pretty much just try every BIOS ROM you can get your hands on, and hopefully one of those will work. My difficulty previously was that by the time I have created a video for this power on no display situation, because at that point I will have gone through the input MOSFETs, the battery management IC, the 3.3 volt, 5 volt ICs, you know, I will have checked all of the secondary voltages and all of the diode mode readings on all of the secondary inductors. So I'll have put maybe about 10 to 20 hours work into video up until that point. So then I'm short on the amount of time that I can spend flashing the BIOS IC and trying that. So maybe I need to just set aside more time, and even if it needs to go into a second week, you know, to try more and more BIOS files with the BIOS IC, then I just need to do it. But that's my update. I've got that board fixed, and hopefully we can now make more progress with this type of symptom in the future. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll be back with something else at the weekend.